something that I've been trying to teach myself specifically like now, like this year, and how, kind of taking myself to the next level is just realizing that it's all about love. People can make a decision or person can make a decision that isn't necessarily the best at that moment, but they're not doing it in spite. And so I'm really my whole thing is just love.
Welcome to The Decision from Nashville EO, where you will hear the rest of the story after tough decisions were made by entrepreneurs who faced adversity and lived to tell about it.
Welcome to The Decision, the EO Nashville podcast by and for entrepreneurs. We're going to talk about all the things that we experience as entrepreneurs, the hard times, the good times, the decisions that we make. And with us today is Falon Veit Scott. I already forgot the name of your company.
EES Agency.
EES Agency. And you told us the other day at EO Talks, and you did an amazing job, by the way.
Thank you.
And I loved your take on how you do things. And it's very unique. Can you tell us a little bit more about that for those who maybe didn't hear that?
Yeah, absolutely. So a long time ago, when I was born into a family of entrepreneurs. And so I grew up in the lifestyle of work and life kind of being combined together. Grandfather, father, now my two younger brothers also have their own companies. So the way that I started organizing my life with the EES Agency, whenever I started it in 2012, was the same. A lot of people say work-life balance, and I think I can cuss on here, but that's bullshit. We all know that's bullshit. You guys agree, right? So I've been training my team and leading the company in a way of work-life integration where everything folds in together. Because if you're trying to find a balance between the two, you're never going to find it, especially as an entrepreneur. And I also realized a long time ago that I didn't want my family to hate my job, and I didn't want to hate my job. So if my job had to be within these certain hours and time frame and capabilities and capacity of what I could produce, it was never going to be who I was. So we just started integrating things in the very early days when I started EES, to the tune of my husband worked with me. We had Cole, who is now 10, 2014. We traveled the world together with him. And then I did the same thing for my team. We allowed different time off and different family interactions, all the way to getting to know one another really deeply and truly caring about each other as who we are as people, not necessarily just the work that we do. And now, 13 years into the future, everything's great. And it is literally a phrase. The work-life integration phrase is something that we talk about basically on a daily basis within the office. And the whole team has adopted it, which is exciting.
How is that working with your husband? Because that is, for a lot of EO members, there are a lot of husband-wife crews, but it's not easy.
Well, he doesn't work with us anymore.
There's a story here.
He was with us 14 and 19. And in 19, he wanted to start his own business. So we're a double entrepreneur household, which comes with its own good and bad and ugly, right? But he's still supportive of it because he understands what it is. He's out there doing his own thing every day. His schedule is more flexible than mine is. Picks up a lot of the stuff with our 10-year-old. Also have a boy, right? So daddy, son stuff. So it's a little bit different. But when we were together, it was the same thing. It was heavily integrated. We were actually living in North Carolina. It's where I had Cole 14 to 18. And I was commuting to Nashville. Sounds kind of crazy. It was like 5.5 hours. I would get up like at 2 a.m., drive here, take a 9 o'clock meeting, have lunch, and like head home at 3 back to the mountains of North Carolina. It was nuts. I did fly too, but also in the early days, we didn't have a ton of money when we were doing this. And so my husband was our CFO, bookkeeper for the best part of the explanation. But he was also remodeling a 100-year-old house, right? So our work-life integration was he had a desk in the living room and he was gutting walls and redoing plaster and building cabinets. And then at night he would pay the bills for the company. And we were a mile away from my parents and they would help with Cole. And I would run to Nashville 2-3 times a week and come back. And it's just kind of how it worked.
What was the decision to move to Nashville?
We were already here. So it was a little bit upside down. So I moved here in 2003. My husband's from here. And I started the company here in 2012. And then when I got pregnant, I knew that I wanted Cole to be around my family. My husband's family is great. And they're all here and absolutely wonderful people. But there was just something that was telling me to get close to my mom and dad and brothers. I'm the oldest daughter. I have 2 younger brothers, and Cole was going to be the first grandchild. And it's something that my dad specifically has looked forward, I think, since he had me. And so we just moved over. And we had a condo in 12 South, which was fine. And that's where I would commute to. But we just moved over to the mountains where I grew up. And it was literally some of the best 4 years of our life, being together with my family and just having that much support as I was growing the company. It was amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Got really busy in 2018 and I was on the road. I think that was the year I was on the road 302 days with and without my family. Like, that was also the year we went to Greece and Barcelona for work and they got to come. But it was also the year that I don't think I saw them for about 150, 200 days because I was traveling all over the world building the brand. And so that Thanksgiving, I remember sitting down and I told my husband, I was like, we just got to go back. Like, we can't do this. And so we told my parents and they were so upset and we moved back at the end of that year. And then I've been here ever since.
Yeah. What was the final straw for that? Just like realizing that traveling is.
I'll tell you exactly. I was coming home from New York and I was sitting in LaGuardia, really shitty. This was back before the construction was done, right? When it was under construction for like 30 years. And it was a really stressful meeting and conference that I was running. And I was having a cocktail at some hole-in-the-wall bar in the airport. And something compelled me just to like pull out my computer and start writing. And I wrote just out of nowhere. I just started writing like I was talking to my son, who was not even, well, he was close. It was like November 17th. He had just turned 4. I remember the date. And I wrote a long letter to him. It was like 3 or 4 pages long. And I started crying, sitting in the airport, drinking my drink. I probably looked like I was drunk as hell, just like bawling over my computer, and wrote this letter. And what came out was just like, I was apologizing to him. I was apologizing to him because there were things in his life that I missed because I was growing this company. I told him this story of my dad who lived in Ireland when I was in kindergarten for a year and a half. And, he was growing his companies. And I put all this in this letter. It was like 3 or 4 pages long. And I printed it out and I put it in it. Actually, he hasn't even read it yet. I set him up an email address when he was born. So I emailed it there and I printed it out and put it in his box. He'll read it when he's 18. But it kind of came out of that, right? Like I put all this on paper and I showed my husband and he was like, wow, you don't like being away. And I was like, no. And he was like, what, you love your company? I'm like, well, I do. And yes, it's fun and exciting and it's sexy. And, I have really great team members and my clients are great and I love to travel. But I was like, I am missing out on the one child that I'm going to have. Right. And so that's when he was like, all right, well, when do you want to go? And I was like next week? Can we? So no shit. We literally like on Thanksgiving, we moved like the next week, literally. We decided, because we already had our condo and we just came back. We bought the office space in WeHo, literally also that week. We did a lot that week. The stars aligned. And then we were back here.
It's funny how these little, not expecting opportunities rise up that tick us over the edge of doing something that we know we need to do anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming from an entrepreneurial family and just living in that craziness, right? Like, I knew that I was going to do this at some point. When I resigned from the job that I had before I started EES in May of 2012, I got a lot of offers to be an executive at a lot of different places. Really nice offers that would probably give me plenty of time off and a steady paycheck and, all the things that everybody that gets when they work for another organization. But I knew I couldn't do it. I knew there was no way. I knew it wasn't in my blood to continually work for someone. And I had proved that at my previous job. It got to the point where I knew I could do it better. And I was like, I'm not going to do this again to myself. So I had to
make a
decision.
Did you have clients you could start working with right away when you started your own thing? What was that like?
I did not. I had to go to court, which was awful. I had to sue to get out of my non-compete just to start an event company. Great attorney, got out of it that summer. But my non-solicitation remained. So I had 2 years. So I just kind of took what I could take. The beautiful thing about it though, is I have such a big heart for nonprofits in Middle Tennessee. Well, anyway, but anywhere, but really here. And I had done a lot of volunteer work with a few of them. And so I was like, you know what, why? I know corporate meetings. Why don't I just start doing nonprofit events and give them the corporate experience? And that's literally what I did. I would say like the first year I was in business, like 60 to 70% of what I did was nonprofit work. We were paid. It's not that, but it was like work for nonprofits. And then it was like the day that my non-compete went away, I had my team ready to go. I went from like 4 people to 10 and like $2 million to what seemed like $10 million within like a 24-hour period. It was absolutely insane. And I knew it was going to happen, but it happened. It was a waterfall. Like somebody just turned on this map. The Niagara Falls just turned on and just like everything came through the door. It was pretty fun.
The idea of having constraints is not pleasant to a lot of people, but it tends to focus your efforts,
right?
And it makes you more creative, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you figured out a way to get around the constraints that you had and succeed anyway, and then it pays off 2 years later.
Absolutely. And I think the reason, I'm a big believer in the universe and reasons for everything, right? And so where I worked before was almost too corporate, too big company, capitalist. Everything was materialistic. It wasn't about who you were and what you could produce and how you would treat people. It was about if you had the latest Louis Vuitton purse or not, right? And so that wore me down as a person, and was honestly part of the reason why I resigned. Is because I knew that I could do some things better, but I also knew I wasn't cut out to make a bunch of money just to spend on materialistic things. Like that's not what I want to do. And so the beautiful thing, like you said, Eric, is starting to work with nonprofits, right? And you work with organizations that do amazing work with little, and it was so freeing and so just exciting to be able to do something where I felt like I was getting my hands dirty and like actually producing some results that I didn't do before. I mean, we would just get these massive budgets from, which I love companies with big budgets, don't get me wrong, but massive budgets from these corporate companies, and you can do amazing things with that money. But how fun is it to turn everything upside down and really work with 10 grand for a dinner for 50? Great. Let's figure this out, or whatever it was. So yeah, it taught me a lot. And then it also just made me feel so good. I hadn't felt good in a while. I kind of felt like I was turning into someone that I didn't want to turn into, just the materialisticness of it. And I was like, that was temporary. She's not you. And then I was able to do what I wanted to do in my heart, which was really cool.
Why did you choose events?
I would probably say I think it chose me. I started working events when I was 17 at App State, in my sorority. Somehow I got voted in as like the social chair, public relations chair, something like that. And that meant you did events. And so it just kind of happened by default. When I moved here, I knew that I liked it enough to be more curious about it. And so I started volunteering. I did fanfare back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Every summer. I loved it and just volunteered my way into that. And then through that, I made a lot of connections in the music industry. And then literally this woman who I love to death at Reba's label knew a woman who worked for this corporate meeting planning company, and they connected. And literally it felt like the week later, like I got a call. I was like, hey, you want to come work for us? I was like, I mean, yeah, why not? So it kind of just happened. I mean, I went to school for public relations. I went to Belmont for a little bit because I wanted to get my MBA with a concentration in music business. And then they kind of changed their format a little bit. So I had to go work, went to work. And then about a year later, I fell into corporate meeting planning and ever done.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of anxiety when you have a big event that you've planned? I would imagine when I do events, I always get like the jitters right before it comes out. I can imagine running one and getting paid to do it.
Massive ones. Especially, I mean, even a 10-person dinner you do, like we've done events up into 250,000 people. You don't sleep the day before, regardless of what it is. But I think that's healthy because I run through, we have so many documents and processes and procedures that we use, and it's pretty bulletproof, but there's always something, right? And so when I'm not sleeping the night before I'm on site, I'm usually running through all of the pitfalls. That's my time. It seems a little close in. A lot of people are like, you should prepare for your problems sooner, but it always just worked for me. And so that was a time I'd be like, okay, what if we already had a rain plan, but like, what if the speaker doesn't show up? It's the keynote. What if the kitchen catches on fire and we can't cook dinner or whatever? And I would run through that. And so honestly, when I would just finally get out of bed after not sleeping, I had all the answers. So it felt good, but I don't know if it's anxiety. There's a girl on my team that calls the nervousness and the anxiousness butterflies. And I think I'm going to lean into that. So butterflies are more pleasant than anxiety and nervousness, but it's definitely there. But I think it's healthy. I think you have to have that. It makes you good.
Was there ever an event that was like your worst one, that just having the experience and what you learned from that?
I would say, I don't know about the worst one. I would say there've been a few where before I learned how to manage people's expectations, and I was just starting out, my early 20s, and I can be 24 years old and be working with a bunch of executives that are 2.5 times your age, and being able to communicate with them clearly on what's really going to happen and make sure that they understand that they're not paying for what they want. They're going to get what they paid for. And that was always hard. But you get that, right?
Get that.
It's like, you're not getting up here, you're getting down here. And that was always hard. And, sometimes it backlashes. And now, this is part of the reason why I started my business. When that happens to us now, and it still happens every now and then, I got my teams back because there's usually a paper trail. There's usually a reason, a phone call, recorded Zoom, AI, something. But when I was in my 20s, we didn't have that, right? And I also didn't work for a company that really supported me in that way. So it felt like it was some of the worst events because I wasn't being supported after I knew I did the right thing and was communicating in a certain way. Not really like a logistics thing, but literally just more about managing expectations with clients.
That reminds me of, there are a number of projects that we've worked on in the past where a client, you scope a project and then you get into the project and then the client has what I like to call hallucinations.
Oh, yeah.
they believe that they were, they have thoughts after that of what they're supposed to get, and you have to kind of reel them back in. And I'm sure you deal with that all the time.
Oh, yeah. In big ways, too. It's like you're eating this and not that, or this is starting at this time and not that time. And we have a document called the Schedule of Services now, which is basically every single detail for an event. It could be 1 page, it could be 250 pages. And we send that out to the customer about a week out.
And I'm sure they read every bit of
and
it.
we're like, well, but it's CYA. Our business is all about, you got it. If you didn't read it, I can't help you.
That's your problem.
We're all about CYA. That's the only thing you can do, right? I wouldn't read it, but totally fine.
What was the biggest decision you had to make in the business or personal that you had to navigate?
I would say, there were so many, to be honest. It's like everybody knows as an entrepreneur, but I would say the biggest was, it's a little bit twofold, but restructuring my company to have leadership, to have a management team, and then building out my C-suite. For the longest time, from 12 until 2021, it was me and anywhere from 1 to about 15 people. And everybody kind of had like a mid-level title. I didn't have an EA. I had no directors. I had no vice president. I had no CFO, COO, nothing. And it was, and that was also during COVID, which we got through with flying colors, as crazy as that is. And then we came out of COVID and the world opened back up. It opened up big to us. And I remember, like it was yesterday, sitting in the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and I was bidding on that preferred program. This is a big deal in the event industry. If you can sign a contract with a hotel to get all of their business. So they can't guarantee that you're going to get their in-house business that they're selling, but you can do the transportation, entertainment, decor, sometimes audiovisual production for their customers, right? It's a massive deal. Grand Hyatt was still one of the most prestigious hotels that came through Nashville. I think we're getting the Ritz now finally. But anyway, I was bidding against 2 other major national brands. We were the only local owned brand in town. We were the only woman owned business in town, and we're the largest by revenue and team members in town. Everything else is like national now. They're all national destination management companies. And I was nervous because I was like, crap, it's me. I think I had 12 people at the time. And I was like, I don't have like a director of sales, and I don't have this and I don't have that. So I was like, I've got to structure out this company and go from, instead of just having me and a bunch of people just doing the work, structure it out, build a management team, create a director level, and start looking at hiring C-suite members. And so build out the sales team first, hired a director of sales, just one, because I was still selling and operating and leading teams. So I was like, great, you start selling and we'll go from there. And then my next hire was my COO, who I had worked with at my previous place of employment. And we've known each other for like 15 years. And it was kind of just like a natural fit. And then I started filling in the rest of the holes to literally build our own org chart. Because I never had one of those either. And then the last one was this past year, I finally brought on a CFO. So my COO and CFO, they helped me sleep at night now. So I wasn't sleeping before, and they helped me sleep at night. But it took me a long time to get to that decision, because I was sitting in the Grand Hyatt bidding on this. I said, God, if we get this, I've got to change the way I'm running this organization. This is going to mean I need a whole sales team. I need people doing proposals. I need people doing research. I need more team doing the logistics. So I had to literally ask myself and look myself in the mirror and say, do you want this to be bigger than what it is today? I was super happy with where we were. We made it through COVID. Everything was fine. And I was like, hell yeah, I do. Yes, this is actually what I want to do. I want to do this forever. It was already pretty successful, but I was like, I want to do this for another 20, 30 years. And so I did. And that management team and C-suite hire, over the next 3 years, were what got us there, right? So my job today is I work on vision, strategy, and culture. I talk to the team a lot. I was telling my CFO earlier, I was like, it's so weird. I feel like I'm not productive because I don't create documents anymore. I just sit in meetings and talk about things. But I know I'm still pushing things forward. It's just a new kind of role. I'm really happy that I did it. I think I did it at the right time too, knowing now that COVID was going to happen, of course. Yeah. It probably would have been smart if COVID didn't happen to probably make the management team structure and C-suite shift in probably 2019, because we were on this like just rocket ship. But then we stopped for a little bit and then picked it back up. So
where were you prior to EO? And what led you to EO? Like as a business person,
yeah.
What was it like to be Falon before EO?
The beautiful thing about my life is I had my dad. We are the exact same person. And he was everything to me. And so he was my whole forum in one person. He'd be the one that'd be like, just get the fuck up and get it done. He'd be the one like, good job, you're doing great. He'd be the one like, that's a really stupid idea. I don't think we would do that. He would do all of it. And so literally I talked to him every single day. And he helped me a lot through that. And then I joined EO in 2019. I'd known about it for a while. Joe Friedman has been a friend of mine forever. We're in the same industry. And he's like, you got to join this. You got to join this. It's so helpful. I think you could really use it. That was also when I was commuting, right? And so I didn't want to mess up a forum experience by not always being in person. And so I was like, I'll wait till we move back and then I'll join. And literally it's the first thing I did. I think I did the membership lunch when I was in town the week after, sometime in November after Thanksgiving or December, when we decided to move, and immediately hopped in.
What did you get out of being in a group of people helping you with decisions and things about the business versus like a mentor?
Yeah. All the different experiences that they have in my forum are so amazing. We're across the board, different ages. We all joined at different times. We all have very different businesses, and just hearing, just how they've messed up, to be honest, and how they've made mistakes has been really beneficial for me moving forward, because I make them every day. It feels like still, personally and professionally, but like having that, it's not like an echo chamber, but that like safe room, right? Like that safe space where you can talk about this kind of stuff was really helpful. Because after Brian, my husband, went to do his own company, I kind of was like, all right, cool. Like I'm totally fine. But like when I have problems, could go to my dad for one side of it, but I felt like I needed more than that at that time. And it really just came through within the forum. It was great.
So you talk a lot about balance. Mm-hmm. And so having to raise a son, and you have conflicting businesses now. So you have two different businesses that both need your energy. And is that more of a challenge with him starting a new one?
The beautiful thing about it is, well, he's also in the hospitality industry. He doesn't travel though, so it's good. When his business was picking up in 2023, there was an opportunity for him to start going on the road. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to work. So he decided to not do that, which is great. But I mean, yeah, of course. The hotel industry that he works in on the hospitality side, I mean, his hours are 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mine are 24/7. He's in construction. I'm in events. It's all kind of, you're always kind of on. You're always answering to someone bigger than you that needs something now, yesterday, or 2 weeks ago. But Cole got a lot of cool experiences out of it, and he doesn't know that yet because he's 10 and he can still be fussy. But kind of like when I was young, like I knew that my dad was off doing something bigger than him. And I do tell him every now and then when he gets fussy about things, I'm like, I promise you, like, first of all, you have an amazing life already. But one of these days you're going to realize why we're doing this and what we're doing, and that we are paving the way for you to understand what it means to work hard. Again, he's 10. He doesn't really
What
get
business
that.
was your dad in?
Knives. So he's a manufacturer, not like cutting knives, but like the knives actually cut tools and cut knives and cut diapers and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's different. So he was in Montana, North Carolina, across the pond, a lot of different places.
Yeah. I personally wondered if I was messing my own child up.
Right.
And now she works for me. And
That's perfect.
it's like, I can't believe what has happened.
Right.
She's just so productive and just fits right in. And I think she probably saw a lot of that. So I'm guessing are you beginning to see inklings of that, or is it still to come?
I don't know. Right now, Cole wants to be a YouTuber, which makes me want to throw open my mouth. I'm like, because you want to be supportive. I'm like, Mommy will be supportive of whatever you want to do. He's like, well, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, not that. If you're going to do something else.
If it gives you any hope, I wanted to be the lead guitarist for Kiss when I was about 10 years old. So it'll work out.
Yeah. He does see what hard work will afford you in life.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a modest house in Green Hills. It's not anything crazy, but we travel a lot. So we spend money on moments and experiences as a family. And he does get to see that. So we took him to St. Lucia for spring break last month, and stayed right between the pitons, and freaking amazing. And he loves to order room service, and he eats caviar and things like that. So he knows that part of it. And we remind him every time we do something fancy. We're like, the only reason we're doing this is because Mom and Daddy work hard. Mm-hmm. You can only get it if you do that. This is not going to be just handed to you. So I want to be a YouTuber, whatever. It's fine.
Right.
What does it mean to you when I say like taking where you are today to the next level? What does that look like for you?
That's interesting. I feel like I've been working on that from a professional standpoint. We're expanding into a new market right now, and I'm working on that, which is a lot of fun and terrifying all at the same. For me personally, it's completely different. And I also started working on it in the end of February with who I am as a person and leading through love. I was telling my firm about this last week. I was like, I've been through a lot of crazy experiences in my life, both good, bad, and ugly. And I've been treated like shit a lot from different people in my career. Friends and family has always been just kind of crazy like everybody else's, right? But, something that I've been trying to teach myself specifically like now, like this year, and how, kind of taking myself to the next level is just realizing that it's all about love. Like there's nobody on this earth that I can know of that is out to get me, and that we're all really, it's not an in it together thing, but we're all literally just trying to do the best that we can. Right. And so I have 32 people on my team, and most of us are women, and we have bad days sometimes, and we have children we have to take care of, and, husbands' careers we have to support, and houses we have to run, and things like that. And, people can make a decision or person can make a decision that isn't necessarily the best at that moment, but they're not doing it in spite. They're not doing it maliciously. And so I'm really my whole thing is just love. Like it's all about leading with love for me and putting that out into the universe, and then being open to accept it and knowing that it's all going to be okay just because of that. And that's it.
Yeah. It's probably much easier to get upset instead of, I try to use, if we lose some money on something, I just go, well, that's the tuition that I just paid. I hope you learned something.
Right.
And you'll probably not do that again.
Exactly.
Right. And
that's a great way to put it.
And they go, oh, thank God, I'm not getting fired.
Yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes sense.
It's a good statement. When leading through love also means sometimes you got to let people go.
You do.
How do you navigate that with love?
Oh, that makes my heart beat fast. That's hard. I'm working through some of this right now, personally and professionally, and honesty. Being honest is kind to people. I can speak professionally in terms of if someone isn't performing, we don't beat around the bush on my team. We try not to anyway, because it's not honest, right? And I know that I would want to know if I'm not doing what I need to know or doing what I need to do. And it is really leading with love, that you've just got to tell somebody that like, this just isn't working. Friends even, I mean, the older you get, the less friends you have. And I am totally fine with that and have been fine with that for a long time. And just realizing that my time is valuable. And I don't want to try to push love out into the world in a way that I'm in a relationship with someone as a friend that I'm not receiving it back. I've also had to like set some family members down. And my father passed away on Christmas this past year. And I've been, for the majority of my life, I've kind of been a little mom since I was 9 years old, to be honest. And I've taken care of my little brothers who are now 37 and 41. But sometimes I have to set them down. And other people in my family have to set them down and just kind of give it to God and be like, I love them so much, but I just can't do this anymore. And I need to focus on leading through love for what is in my space now and also taking care of myself. That's a big thing too. Like, entrepreneurs, we never take care of ourselves. We're always like the last person on the list. So I'm really trying to do more than just take a bath and light a candle because that shit doesn't work. I'm so tired of hearing it. Because you got to do more. I mean, seriously, like it just doesn't. People like it's women, we're supposed to take a bath and light a candle. I'm like, what the? Like, no.
I don't know why I didn't know this.
Because you men, you don't hear probably. This is a thing that
is this advice you get from other women?
It is, or they're like, you can take a shower by yourself. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, where the kids aren't in the room? Like, I don't understand. Yes, it is really awful for us. So I'm literally trying to love myself too. But if I've found, and I've only been really working on this year, right? So I'm a new person. It's whatever, April, whatever. But the people that I've had to sit down or have real honest and sometimes painful conversations for both of us, it's worked out so far. Nothing has come back and made me feel that I shouldn't have done what I did. And to be honest, I probably feel about 10 pounds lighter and 10 years younger because of it. I feel like my wrinkles are kind of little bit going away because it is a lot of stress to carry on yourself. So,
well, it says something about how much you love yourself when you can stand up for yourself. Because a lot of times 100%,
100%,
kind of swallow it, take it, and take it, and take it. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm not taking this anymore.
Yeah, there's just no reason to carry that around.
No.
You get it out, and the other person is going to, learn from it. And and I have this phrase: everything ends. There are times where it's time for somebody to go.
Yep.
And maybe their next adventure is somewhere else.
Absolutely. And it's going to be better, right? Like you can't really put a square peg in a round hole as much as you try, right? And so it's just like, if it doesn't work, like, why are we continually trying to do this, guys? Like in life in general.
It's also a culture of Americans to try to people please.
Oh, yes.
And if you're going to really, truly use love as a management style, love is saying no. Love is letting people go to pursue other opportunities. Love is like so many dynamics. It's not making you happy. That's not what we're trying to do or we want to do. And I feel like I didn't figure that out until like a little bit ago.
Same. And I hate that. I mean, I have a lot of young women on my team in their 20s and 30s. And like my executive assistant is in her early 20s. And I had a review with her the other day and I was just learning more about her as a person. And she's already figured this stuff out, or she's working. I'm not saying she's figured it out. She's on the pathway a lot sooner than I was. I was just drinking on Demumbrian when I was in my 20s. I didn't care about anything. And so she's on this pathway and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are going to be so much further along when you're my age. Like, keep doing that.
Have a coach every time they swipe their phone.
Like
literally telling them all the things that we should have known. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had a friend starting EO, what would you give them to give them a good shot of having the best experience in Nashville?
To do something in Nashville as an experience?
No. It's in terms of like getting a good experience out of the experience.
Oh, getting it out of EO.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to be honest and you're supposed to fully disclose. I don't know that everybody does that. So I think that's a given. But But I would say, and getting involved, I think, is a given. I think you really have to spend the time and energy and effort to find the right forum. I was really lucky with mine. And when my dad was sick last year, they literally let me pause it for like 8 or 9, maybe even 10 months to go take care of him. And it was the most outpouring of love from a group of people I've ever experienced in my life. Like, I was just like, holy shit, like, thank you. And there were no talks of replacing me. The second I came back, they were like, what's your calendar? Let's get it on the books. But I think it's important, right? I mean, you're going to share your everything with these people, and they might know you better than your spouse at certain days and times, right? And so just really interviewing them when you're being interviewed, like making it a two-way street to make sure that you're in that right group. And then also knowing that you could be in the right group today, but you might change when you're changing, right? Like if you're kind of becoming complacent in your company, or you want to sell, or you want to grow and go into a new market, you might have to find a new group of people that have those experiences. And that's okay. I mean, the beautiful thing I think about EO is that so many of us have moved around. I haven't yet, but so many people have moved around, and it's fine. I don't ever see it being like a big deal. Like, it's okay. It kind of goes back to the love thing. Like, nobody's going to hate you because you leave a forum or join a forum or whatever it is. It's just kind of thinking in those terms.
Yeah. I just joined a new forum, and I went interviewed for this forum. And when I left, I felt really bad because I was like, I treated it like I was a job applicant.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I left and I got home and I was like, that wasn't me. That was like the default Robert trying to fit into this group of people I didn't know and trying to say the things they wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, I felt really bad. So I recorded a video on my phone. I was like, I just did this, 3-minute rant of what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like who the real me is, and what where I'm going and how I want to get there. And if this is not the right group, I want them to tell me.
Absolutely.
I love this advice with the forum experience because there's lots of different experiences you could have in a forum, because there's groups of people that are absolutely positively happy with their business as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they don't want to do anything new.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have they're not wanting to grow. They're not wanting to sell. They're not wanting to, they're just happy go lucky, want to play golf on 3 days a week and do. And, and that's not the group I'm looking for.
Me neither. I'd be bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
But those people want to keep, it's working for them.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
We're all different, right?
Yeah.
It's not, that's why our EO group is so great, and all EO groups, right? Like, we're all just different. Absolutely. In different places in our life. Well, it's good that you have self-awareness, even though you interviewed and then came home and did your video.
Well, and I think that's a lesson for me, just like all together with EO, is that we got to be ourselves.
We do.
And there's so many events to go to, and there's a lot of weirdos out there, just as weird as me.
Yeah.
You got to find the right group of weirdos.
Make sure we're still weird when we're around them, so they can be weird too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that rings true in like the rest of your life too. Like when you're leading a company or when you're at your house, like I was saying, like who I was becoming at the place I used to work. After a couple years, I was like, ooh, this doesn't feel, your skin starts to feel itchy. They say, like, I was reading something the other day, like when you're about to go through a big transformation in life, you literally start to feel uncomfortable in your own skin. And you may not know that like you're about to go through this, but man, I was like just itching in 2012 and 2011, to be honest. And so I was just like, something is wrong. I thought it was friends or whoever I was dating at the time, or, what I was eating or whatever, but I literally just felt uneasy. And then when I resigned, holy shit, it was the best thing ever.
Wow.
It was like the next day I drove to Charleston, went to my best friend's wedding, had a party on the boat. Like, it was great. It was like, I felt so free. I didn't have to worry about anything. And then I took that summer off and decided to start EES, and it was great. But it just, that itchiness of like when you're not who you truly are supposed to be, your body knows. Absolutely.
I've experienced that recently. And now on the other side of it, it's like, oh, this is all okay. It's like, now I feel better. And, and as an inductive thinker, I don't necessarily have all of the answers necessarily of why I'm going to make these changes. But once I do, then all the reasons actually come out.
Right.
We all make decisions differently, but I've experienced that same thing.
But your reason can also be because what I was doing didn't feel right.
Yeah. And it's,
it's what I'm going to do.
And as an entrepreneur, it's like, it's my company and I'm ultimately responsible for it. And so I get to make that choice.
Yep. It's kind of like what I say to my 10-year-old, because mommy said so.
Right.
It's like, this is my company. Oh, I signed your paycheck. It's like, I don't want to be a bitch, but
Here we go.
Here we go. This is it. This is what we're doing. Absolutely.
Falon, this is great. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. It was so great talking to you guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
So if you are in Nashville, Tennessee, and you're an entrepreneur, maybe you feel a little bit lonely. Well, we have a community for you. EONashville.com. Learn about how 350 EO members right here in Nashville, Tennessee gather together every single month in what we call Forum and grow and make powerful decisions together. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.
Thanks for listening to the Decision Podcast by Nashville EO. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.